Hello, fourth grade Windows Art students. First, congratulations on being accepted into the Windows Art program. It is a great honor, and I'm very proud of you for the work, even being outside of school right now. Like, you went through all the process of auditioning and making it into the program, so kudos to you. Really nice job, grade 4. If you don't know, we will be having an extra art class every Wednesday that we're going to be doing through video, because a lot of you have band and Gates classes as well, and it's just very tricky with scheduling. So we're going to do the drawings through the video, and then we'll post and critique in Google Classroom, and I'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the video. So your week 1 Windows Art assignment is going to be to draw a pencil only, no color, pencil only, of an animal. Okay, so you're going to do a pencil drawing of an animal, and we're going to work from a photograph for this assignment. So I recommend trying to find a black and white photo of an animal. It makes it a little easier when you're trying to do shading if you're looking at a photo that's already black and white. And I also recommend finding an animal that is interesting to you, that maybe has great texture. Maybe you're really into this animal and you'll really want to invest a lot of time in it. Your Windows art drawings should look like they take a little bit longer than your regular art class. So we might spend, instead of half an hour, we might spend an hour on a Windows assignment. Okay, so these are some examples of pencil sketches of animals. Now, these are done by adults, so they are very, very high level, but I want to show you them just so you can see what is possible with just a pencil. Okay, I also want to show you this image, which is a step-by-step of how to draw a rabbit, and I think it's important to look at this because you can see how the artist takes you through breaking it down into basic shapes first, and then adding a little bit more detail in each step. It's important that we do this because if you were to spend a whole bunch of time on a rabbit's ear and then you realize you drew it too small to fill the rest of the page, you have to start all over again. So we are going to try to sketch out our shapes really nice and large on the paper first, and then add a little bit more detail as we go through the drawing. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is find a photograph. I'm using this photograph, or this photograph over here, of a fox, and you're going to need to pick something out that you really like. You'll need a pencil and your sketchbook. No color, no charcoal, nothing fancy for this one, just a pencil and your sketchbook. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to decide is which way are you holding your paper. I'm going today with holding my paper vertical because my image is vertical, so I'm going to hold my paper that way as well. I'm looking at my image on a laptop screen. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just block out those shapes. So I'm going to be a little bit darker than I normally would be, just so that you can see. So I'm just starting with a circle for the fox's face, and then I'm going to come down and do kind of like an oval shape for the snout. His body kind of goes off the page, and I'm trying to draw large, and at the same time I'm trying to get his proportions correct. So he has a little snow hill that kind of comes up and around and blocks the bottom of his paws. So I'm just going to have this paw kind of comes down at an angle and down at an angle, and this one crisscrosses behind it. So I'm just going to get that overlap done, and then we only see one hind leg kind of coming into the frame below his belly, right about there, and then it looks like he's mid-step, like he's about to step back in the snow. I'm going to block out where his nose would be, and I'll work on the shape of these in a little bit. I'm just right now getting all of those shapes in, so I know I'm happy and his proportions are fairly correct, and then I'll go into detail. There is nothing worse than like spending 20 minutes on like an eye, for example, and then realizing you have it in the wrong place, because then you have to start all over again. And I have made that mistake so many times. So I'm trying to keep you from having to suffer those same mistakes. I'm just going in now and looking at how his face is shaped. And I think this week I'm drawing this fox because last week, actually in the back of JFK, I saw a fox just sitting in the middle of the soccer field in the middle of the day. He was quite beautiful, and then he went running back into the woods. All right, so he kind of has like a little bit of a ridge here, and then he comes up. Looks like his pupils are right about in there, and he has a little shape in here. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with how everything is laid out. I'm going to just erase a few of the lines I no longer need, and then I'm going to start to shade everything so we get the color and the value that we need. So when I look at him, the darkest part of this animal is probably his nose, around the edges of his ears, down by his paws. You know, it gets a little darker as he moves down. All of this is important because if I know what his darkest point is, and I get those dark values in first, I can gradually lighten up as I go. And as I'm adding that value in, it is really important that I'm paying close attention to his texture as well, because this guy is furry, right? He has hair all over him. So it is important that I make my lines so that they give me a little bit of that texture. I don't, for example, want to do lines that, you know, would bump, which would look more like a scale. I am more so going to be doing lines that kind of move in the direction that his fur is moving as I add them. So like around his face, I'm gonna just kind of keep that line going throughout. Okay, I have a lot of shading to do, so I'm gonna go ahead and speed up the video a bit, and then we'll talk after. Okay, fourth grade. So here is my finished drawing. I am not really finished because I'm kind of having some issues with the eyes a little bit, and it kind of sometimes looks like a wolf, and then it goes back to looking like a fox, and then it goes back to looking like a wolf again. So I need to work on this a little bit more, but I have worked on it for an hour now, so I'm going to put it away for a little bit and then come back to it maybe in a day or so and work on it a little bit more. If you ever feel like you're struggling a little bit with something, it's a good idea to get away from it a little bit and then come back and look at it again. So I'll probably look at this again in like a day or so and work on it a little bit more just around the face and the eyes. I will say it was difficult getting those dark blacks with just a pencil, but I did my best. Really try to get your different values in and your proportions correct on your paper. Do your best to get that texture done. I did try to get a lot of like little lines up and around his face. Yeah, now that I'm looking at it here, I just need to take, I think, a little bit off of this side. But I will come back to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're doing. Maybe about like a half an hour to an hour spend on it. And then if you could post it in the Windows Art Classroom, you can post it right in the stream. And we will do a quick critique right on the page. You can either give someone a praise, something you think they did a really great job on. You can ask them a question about their drawing, or you can give them a polish. And a polish is something that you think that they could work on a little bit. Like, for example, you could write to me, Mrs. Kopacz, I think you need to work on the symmetry of your fox's eyes, because I definitely do need to work on that. and actually the symmetry of his face too. So that would be a great polish for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing your drawings. Let me know if you have any questions. Just write it right into the stream and I will help you out. Bye, 4th grade. Have a good time on your first Windows drawing.